welcome to The Writer's Dream, a show where we talk to writers about the writing, publishing, and marketing of their books. Today we have a debut novelist with us, Katie McKnight, and she's here to talk to us about her debut novel, Secrets Revealed. Welcome, Katie. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me, how did this book come about? What made you want to write a suspense romance novel?
You know, it's funny. I've been writing for numerous years, but this book was actually a dream. It was a 15-second dream.
Really?
That haunted me for about a month. I just could not stop thinking about it.
In what way? What was the dream that you had?
You know, it was a silly dream. It was about a newlywed who was in her in-laws' house, and all she wanted to do was be able to take a shower all by herself. And the in-laws were very nasty to her. And that's it. It was just a silly dream. And then from there, I was like, well, you can't write a story about someone who wants to take a shower. But you can write about how a new wife and her husband's mother try to get along, and they try to find their spaces. And then from there, I said, you still need a little bit more. And I absolutely love live crime, TV crime. And so I decided, all right, let's add that. Let's make her life miserable. Let's give her something that she has to try to get past.
Now, have you ever thought about writing a book before? Was this something you've always wanted to do, or was sort of something you decided on a whim to give it a try?
Now, you know, when we were about 22 years old, and my husband, they found a hole in his heart. I had a very difficult time trying to deal with that. I want him to go to the doctor. He is afraid of the doctor. I want him to go. I want this problem solved. And the only way that I could keep myself strong for him was to write my thoughts. So I started journaling. And then eventually, once that he was better, the journaling went into short stories.
Oh, wow.
And then they went into unfinished manuscripts.
Wow.
So, and then I said, all right, I'm going to teach myself, because I have 3 young boys, so I'm going to teach myself the craft of writing. I'm going to do it through the internet. I'm going to do it in the library. And then I eventually took classes in the online college course. And I just completed this book. This was the first one that...
So did you have the dream back then, or did you have the dream recently?
No, the dream was probably about 6 years ago. It was before this book was done. I had written partial manuscripts, but never knew how to finish them. I didn't know what to do with them.
Right.
I was just trying to get the voices out of my head. But then this one, I just felt, all right, this story, it just keeps haunting me. I want to get it down, so I'm going to learn how to do it. And then I spent 5 years, like I said, self-teaching myself and then taking courses online.
Right. I mean, now you have a family.
Yes.
And you have a full-time job. When did you find the time to write? When did you do it?
I write when the boys, all right, I'm a very overprotective mom. And I'm sure if my boys were watching, they'd be like, yes, she is. So I never leave them on the sports field alone.
Neither do I, actually.
Yeah, no, you like being there. So during their games, they have my full attention. But during practices, I have my computer there, and I'm typing away and typing away.
Really?
I think I'm the only mom that doesn't mind a 2-hour practice. I'm like, let's go, come on. And I type away and type away. And I also do it at nighttime. After everybody's in bed, I'll stay up through the night.
Do you write every day, or do you write once a week? I mean,
No, I write every day.
Every day.
Every day I try to find a little bit of time to write.
Now, do you give yourself like an hour, or do you give yourself a word deadline?
You know what? I will try to make sure that at 10 o'clock everything has to be done, because I need that writing time. And then I'll write for about 2 hours, or I'll edit, or just research. But I'll spend the 2 hours doing something.
Did you do a lot of research for Secrets Revealed?
You know, I read some books on Broadway actresses and the conditions of the Broadway stage and what these actors and actresses go through. I had read documentaries about the actors' experiences in order to fully understand, because Melanie is a Broadway actress, and I wanted to fully understand what she was going through and what her life was like.
So I'm guessing Melanie has difficulties with her mother-in-law, and that's part of the book, right?
Right, yes, she does, because they're newlyweds, and they decide that they're going to take a break from work, and that the two of them are going to spend time with Ryan, who's her husband, with his family for the holidays.
Ooh.
And she is trying to be the perfect wife and the perfect daughter-in-law, but as I said, they're newlyweds, so she's trying to find her place in his life, and the mother's trying to find her place in their life. And of course, while Melanie's trying to be the best daughter-in-law, a secret comes up from her past. And it threatens to destroy her personally, and she fears it'll destroy her and her husband professionally as well.
Now, a lot of writers use elements of their own life in their books. Is there any element of I know. I'm assuming you have a lovely relationship with your mother-in-law.
Yeah, and I have two mother-in-laws, but yes, I do. Now, you know what, Melanie's, she is a Broadway actress, and I don't say what the musical is. You can figure it out from the book. I don't say what the musical is, but I happen to be in that musical, and I happen to play the same role in high school.
Really?
Yes, I very much wanted to be an actress, so I enjoyed that aspect of it. And what I did is I took a lot of people, family and friends, and I just took little pieces of them to create these characters.
Right.
But none of the characters are after anyone. Everyone keeps saying to me, that character was based on me. I'm like, no, it wasn't.
Now, you've carved out this time every night to write after 10 o'clock. Was there ever a time where you sat down to do it and nothing was coming and you were just hitting a wall?
You know, I found often I'll get 3/4 through a manuscript and then have no idea how I'm going to finish it.
Interesting, interesting.
Yeah.
So what do you do in that case? I mean, you just push on, or do you?
Well, you know, a professor had said, keep writing. Just keep on writing, and hopefully it'll come to you. Or he suggested that you stop your current project and go and write about the character before the time that your novel started.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I'll go back and I will just do a complete background on them, and usually that'll help me push on.
Do you outline it all when you write a novel?
Absolutely, I do now. Now I do, yes. I know every single aspect of the story, so this way I don't suffer with writer's block.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
I just make sure I have it all down. But it takes a while for me to be able to figure out where I want to go.
Will there be a sequel to this book, or you think this is a standalone?
This one's a standalone.
Standalone.
this was a fun book, but it's a standalone.
Now, so okay, you finished the book, and it's time to find a publisher. So what was your process? How did you go about doing that?
Well, first I went online and I had looked up, I had researched publishers that dealt with suspense, dealt with romance. When I found some, I did some background work on them. I had checked some of the sites to just let me know what other writers' experience has been. I've checked the author pages just to see how their books were selling, just to make sure that
that's smart.
They are going to help you market. And then I sent my query letter and the synopsis.
So you sent this to a publisher?
Yes, I sent it to several publishers, yes.
To several, okay. So did you hear back from all of them?
Most of them were turned down.
And it happens to everyone.
It does.
It happens to everyone.
It does. If it wasn't, I would, I would have to be just not a regular, normal person. But it was turned down by several, and what I did is each time I went back and I worked on the manuscript and I changed things just to make it a little stronger. I always use the constructive criticism to help me build. Now,
did they offer criticism? Because sometimes authors say they heard back from the publisher and basically it was just a no.
Right, often they do. It's just your project doesn't fit for us. We're not doing that this time. Most of them did do that. But I was fortunate, although I felt like a little tiny fish in my own pond and all the other authors were in this big pond together, I was fortunate enough to meet a few people and they would give me suggestions and I always took it.
That's terrific. So. Okay, so you revamped the book a little bit based on criticism, and then you just kept sending it out again.
Yes,
as you should.
Yes, and then it was actually 2 publishers offered to pick it up, and I wound up going.
Wow, you must have been elated.
I was so excited. I was very excited.
So when was that?
That was April 2013, I think.
Okay, and what happened after that? So you chose one of the publishers.
Yes, and then I spoke with them because now it's all done. This is my baby.
I know.
And it's so hard to give it up. I was petrified to give it up, and you feel terrible. You just feel like it's become a family member. And I had spoken to them. First of all, your disbelief. You want to work with me? You want to give me a chance? And so I wanted to make sure it wasn't a joke. And I also just wanted to make sure that we would be able to have a good relationship.
Now, is that what made you choose one over the other? Did you choose both? Did you call both?
I had spoken to one.
Okay.
And I had liked what they had to say, and I decided to sign with them.
Very nice.
And then I went back to the second one, and I thanked them for their time, and I was so honored that they would consider working with me.
Can you say what publisher you chose?
Oh yes, Eternal Press.
Okay.
In California.
So so you accepted, and what happened next? What's the process from there?
I sat for a while, and then I was introduced to my cover artist, and we went into great detail as to what my characters looked like and their ages, and I was very afraid that maybe it might be like a real romancy type cover, which I did not want.
Why not?
I just felt I wanted this book to be a cute romance. I wanted it to be a book where my niece wanted to read it and we could discuss it. I also think I like the message in this book, and I was hoping that young girls and teenagers, not young girls, but teenagers and young women could relate to it. And I just wanted to make sure that the cover represented the story, and that it just, a lot of people say to me, oh, is it erotic? Because secrets revealed.
Right,
And
right, right.
It's not, and I didn't want it to be mistaken for that.
So how does this cover represent your story in your eyes? I mean, what is it about it?
Well, it's Christmas time, so I just like all the lights and the trees and snow-covered trees behind, and the fact that the two of them love one another, and they will do anything. He will do anything to protect her, and vice versa. And then, of course, you have the ominous eyes up there.
I see that.
Looming over the
Are
couple.
they human eyes, or maybe not? Almost look
Yes.
like animalistic.
They are, but yes, no, they are human eyes. They are human eyes. And, she made a mistake 10 years earlier. And unfortunately, with social networking and all, I'm the first person that has everything on there. You know what I'm eating for dinner. I was going shopping for today. But sometimes when people post things, I just think they may cross the line of maybe even self-destruction.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm hoping this girl made a mistake. 10 years later, it haunted her and it threatened to ruin everything she'd worked for. So I'm sort of hoping that it could be a discussion, and that maybe these girls will realize, when I want to go to college, when I am starting my career, even when I'm a mom, do I want something from my past to come up? And it might cause them to pause before they hit that post button.
I think that's an important issue. That's excellent. So we have the cover done.
Yes.
So what happened next in the process?
Then I met my editor, and I actually waited a long time for the book to be edited, and we went back and forth with the just different things that they would tell me about, and different, just to not even tighten it up. It's grammar and punctuation.
Were you butting heads at all? Because sometimes you hear from authors that they have a sort of difficult relationship with editors, or were you working together nicely?
Oh, very nicely.
Yeah.
First of all, Kim is the nicest person in the whole entire world. She was very encouraging, very helpful, and I am so grateful that I would never argue with anyone. I just feel like, wow, you want me? And I would never butt heads with anyone, because I'm just, anything that you can, I've just found that writers and editors and everyone in this field, they just help one another.
We were talking about this earlier. Yeah, it's very true. We're all in this together.
Absolutely.
We're not really competing against one
Yeah,
another.
no, there's no competing.
Yeah.
It's working together, and I just think everyone has just welcomed me, and I'm just in awe of everybody's kindness. So any suggestions that she had, I was willing to make. And you learn things. You definitely, there's mistakes. It's sort of like your first child.
Right.
You love them. You're so proud of them, but you made a few mistakes. and I did the same thing, but I consider it a learning experience. It's a learning experience, and it helps you grow.
So how long did it take for the book to actually hit?
We started, I think you know what, I take it back. I'd said April. I think it was February that they had accepted it.
2013?
In 2013, and it came out in August 2013.
Wow.
So, and
That must have been an exciting day.
that was very exciting. And I was camping with my children. So I wasn't even on Long Island with my family. I was all by myself. And
wow.
so, of course, I was on the computer all night, and it was coming out at midnight. And I was texting with people, and we were chatting back and forth. The only thing I didn't realize is it was coming out midnight in California time. So,
oh no! Those 3 hours were killer.
Right. So at 12 o'clock, we're like, "Come on, let's buy it," and the book wasn't available. So we went to bed and tried to get it. And the next morning, when I woke up, my husband turned to me and he says, "I'm waking up next to a published author. How does it feel?" And
so
that
sweet.
was great. We had such a nice time, and I remember we went from one campground to the other, and when we arrived, we were late, and there was a big online press conference, and I was sitting in the front seat of the car while he was setting up all the camping gear, and I'm chatting with people and speaking to them. So it was a very exciting day. We had a great time.
Now, was the book published as an ebook and a paperback, or just a paperback?
Yeah, no, it was published as an ebook and a paperback.
Oh, wow, very nice.
Yes.
Do you have any input into like the release date or anything like that? Because sometimes I'm asked that by other authors, how much input they have in terms of like pricing or when the book came out or anything like that?
No, I was not given.
Which is not unusual.
Yeah.
No, it's not unusual.
Yeah, they told me when it was going to come out. The only thing they had offered to me, they said that if the book wasn't ready, that it could be pushed back to November.
Oh, that's nice.
Right, and you know what? Now that I already have a book, I probably would have said, yeah, let's push it back to November. But when it's the first time, you're like, no, it's got to come out. It's got to get it out. So that's why I said you learn things. You learn things with it. But that was it. But as far as pricing and all, then they price it based on their needs.
So now the book's out. And so what do? I mean, you want to, obviously all your friends and family are going to buy 16 copies.
Oh, that's
right?
it.
Which is great. I mean, that's what our family and friends are for. But now it's time to market, and that's often, they say, just as hard as writing the book.
I think more so.
Yeah. In what way? Why do you say that?
Because you know what? Now you've taught yourself, or you've gone to school and you have studied writing. What you don't realize is now you need to go back and study marketing, and you need to do the best that you possibly can.
Right.
And being a first-time author, I didn't have the funds, because again, I have 3 young children.
Yeah,
I don't want to use the funds to market a book. I was trying to do it on my own. So now I had taken, from the time that they accepted the book until it came out, to learn as many marketing skills as I possibly could.
Wow, that's terrific.
And that's why, and again, by this time now I had met other authors, and I had found websites, and I found pages, and again, people, they just helped me. They just guided me in the right area as to what to do. And I'm very fortunate I happen to know someone who is in the industry. She works for one of the big publishing houses, and she is very generous too with her time. If I have questions, she'll ask me, and she'll answer my questions and help me out.
So what kinds of things did you do? Did you use a lot of social media?
I use social media. I also had a huge party. We had a very big party in the town where everyone was invited to come, and we had a party.
Nice.
We played games. We had all kinds of raffles that we gave away. We did readings from the book. We did readings from the upcoming book, and lots of wine and cheese and crackers, and we made it a fun night, and that was very successful. And then I actually sat and I signed books for people and the friends that they came. I'd also appeared at the library. I have done some work in the schools as far as just working with the kids, giving my experience, and then we'll play some games. We can help them create characters and all. I've had things published in the newspaper. My publisher has helped out by advertising things. I've gone to fairs.
Wow, you've been pretty busy.
I've tried everything that I can.
But don't you find that it's also fun? I mean, it sounds like a lot of work and a lot of legwork, but it really is a lot of fun.
It is. Well, now that I've done it.
Yeah.
Now that it's not new and I have a little bit of experience doing it, it is good. The first time you do something, you're very stiff and you're nervous.
Right.
Then once you can sort of let loose, then you can enjoy it.
Did you feel, because I remember when I first published a book, I was like, when people started calling me an author, I kind of was like, I don't feel any different. I don't feel like an author. I mean, did you have that experience? Or,
Yeah, and when people say author, it still sort of makes me cringe a little bit, because I just feel like, wow, how can you say I'm an author when there are so many, like yourself, so many talented people? I just don't feel like I'm on that same level.
But you are. You are.
Well, it doesn't mean I won't throw a tiara on. But it takes a little getting used to. And you think that it would just be an exciting experience, that I'd be walking around like, oh, I am an author. But it's quite frightening.
Oh, it is frightening.
And every time someone says they're going to read the book, I'm like,
I know, because you've put so much of your personal, it's such a personal thing, and all of a sudden it's out there for public consumption.
Right, and everyone is going to have their opinions on it and all, and that's nerve-wracking.
It is. I mean, do you get a lot of opinions? I mean, as far as
everybody has been very kind. Everyone has been very kind. And like I said, a few things that I've gotten have been very constructive, and they'll help me grow. And that's what you want. They always tell you to associate yourself with more intelligent people, and hey, that's how you're going to grow.
I
accept
agree.
everything.
Completely agree. So that means that there's other books on the horizon, it sounds like.
Is.
Yeah, so tell me, did you write another one? Are you writing another one?
I have finished it. And I've said, no, again, like I said, the first time I was all by myself. I practically wrote this in the closet because I was afraid that people would laugh at me. You can't do this. They were going to tell me I couldn't do it because, a lot of people do try to crush your dreams. And I just was not going to allow that to happen.
Good for you.
This time, like I said, my circle has grown. I've had some beta readers read the new book. I even had an editor, a very talented editor, read it for me.
Oh, wow.
And she provided some great feedback, and I'm ready to start sending it out now.
So what's the new book called?
The new one is Destroyed by Lies.
Ooh.
My mother came up with that title. My sister came up with this title. My mother came up with the other
Is it also a suspenseful romance?
It's more, it is a romance. It's more of women's fiction. And it is about a woman who, her husband is in an accident, and while she's sitting by his bedside, she discovers that their life is not what she thought it was.
Really?
And there are a lot of twists and turns in it. And I'm very excited for this book to come out.
And when do you think it will be coming out?
Well, I'm hoping someone will pick it up.
So you're not going back to Eternal Press for the second one?
Well, you know what? I absolutely wouldn't. Eternal Press said that they were interested in it, but I was actually thinking of maybe approaching agents just to see.
Sure, they have nothing to lose.
If there's a possibility of that. But Eternal Press is definitely not off the table. They're fantastic. Like I said, I'm just. Maybe I can find an agent this time. It's worth trying, and I'm always willing to try.
And you're more seasoned now than you were, like, say, last year, right? So you know what to do in terms of query letters. I mean, you're experienced in that.
And the query letter, I think, is more difficult than writing the book and marketing.
I know. I said the same thing about the synopsis on the back of the book.
Oh, yes. I can write the 5-page synopsis. Ask me to write the short synopsis for the back of the book, and I'm stumped. Maybe because I'm very long-winded.
Aw. So what does your family think about all this?
Well, my mother is thrilled. My mother is my biggest cheerleader. My sister, too. I mean, my sister and I had dedicated this book to her, Leanne, and I said that we just walked together in this fictional world because we would speak every night on the phone, and we would discuss things, and she was so excited for the characters. And I remember sitting in church, because as I said, this took place on Christmas. We were sitting in church last year, and she says, all I envision is Melanie being here right now, because it's a scene in the book. So my boys want the money, and my husband he is very supportive. I'm very lucky. He doesn't mind that every time he turns around, I have the computer attached to me, and he always pushes me to do things too. He never stops me, never discourages me.
You know, it's funny that your sister said that because I find that too. And I write fiction and nonfiction, but I find that my fiction sort of just haunts me. Those characters are following me wherever I go. Do you find that as well?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I like in this one. It takes place because I'm a world traveler between New York and Pennsylvania. And so a few of the story started in Long Island, and it also takes place in Pennsylvania. And I actually used stores and locations that I have visited.
You have.
So now when I go back there, I'm thinking, oh, Melanie and Ryan were walking through here, and I just envisioned them being in the building with me.
Did you make up any locations? Because sometimes I'm asked by writers, do I have to use stores and places that are already here, or can I sort of use imaginary ones?
Well, I'll use imaginary. I don't give them the real names of the stores, but definitely when I write it, I'm imagining the location that I've been in. So, and of course, anyone who, like my family enjoyed this because they're like, oh, I know what you're talking about here. Oh, I know what you're speaking about there. Oh, I remember this happening. So.
Now, why did you choose Pennsylvania?
I had spent a lot of time there. We spend the summers there with the boys, and I actually did a lot of writing in Pennsylvania, and I love the mountains, I love the country, and I just felt comfortable. That's where I just wanted to take them out of their element.
Right.
New York City and myself out of the element, and just go someplace to some other land that someday I would like to live.
Well, really?
Yeah.
Well, they say write what you know, and that's basically what you did, right? You
Right.
wrote about that area. Is the second book, does it also take place on Long Island?
The second book, again, she's from Long Island too, and I enjoy doing that because I think it's fun. I love reading books from authors and where they take place on Long Island.
Mine take place on Long Island too.
Right, and I love that.
Write what you know.
You too, and I just think it's so funny to read that. I'm like, I recognize that
I've
place.
been there.
But this time, and it's funny, the second book, they live on Long Island, and again, they wind up in Pennsylvania.
That's funny.
Yeah, however, they wind up in the location that I was the day this book was published. So they wind up in New York, Pennsylvania. I was in New York, Pennsylvania. They're not camping.
Oh, they're not camping.
But they wind up, most of the story takes place in New York, Pennsylvania, which is the location I was in.
Oh, that's too funny.
The moment that this was released.
Was that intentional, or was that just?
Yeah, no, I did it intentionally because it was just such a great moment for me, and I just wanted to relive that area. And not only for the book, because we had such a fantastic time with my boys. We worked with animals on a working farm, and I love animals, and it was just a great experience, and I just wanted to go back again.
Now, have you ever thought about doing a series, maybe a 2 or 3? Tell me.
Well, after this book, once I'm finished with this book, I want to do Lunch Lady Mysteries.
Ooh.
Yes, and I thought it would be fun. My friend, I work for the schools, and I do work in the lunchroom, and I just thought, how fun would it be if I can own my own business that maybe does corporate events, because I am into doing corporate events, and I'll do parties and all for people. Nice. So I said, how fun would it be to do corporate events with your best friend and have little mysteries take place, and you need to solve them. Murder mysteries.
Right, and those lunch ladies, I'm sure they see a lot.
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
And they're tough. they can put up with that food, and those kids, they can put up with anything.
Now, would those books be more like young adult, like YA, or would they still be like?
No, I would like them to be cozy mysteries.
Oh,
So that's what I'm hoping for.
wow.
And I have a few ideas. I have everything all written down. It's just a matter. But I also would like to do a young adult. I went to Howard Middle School, and I had met with a 7th grade class, and we had fun. Like I said, I was telling them my experience as an author, and we also developed a character, and we sort of came up with a storyline for him. I was so intrigued, and it was their idea. It was not my idea. I was so intrigued by the work that they did that all of a sudden this character story started forming in my head, and I would like to write a young adult novel to dedicate it to them.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Because they were just so encouraging. I loved every minute of being there.
Oh, young adult, suspense, romance, women's fiction. Is there anything Katie McKnight can't do?
Well, let's hope Katie McKnight can do those things.
That's so wonderful. Are there any, your children, are they interested at all in writing?
No, and unfortunately, they're not interested in reading And matter of fact, my one son, he just started college, and he had a book to read. And I said, great, you're finally going to read this book. I'm going to read it. We're going to discuss it. And he was introduced to crib notes.
Oh.
And so I had to steal them and tell him to write the book, to read the book. So I do hope, I keep asking them, if I write a young adult book,
will you read
Will you read it? Please, while I'm writing it, read it, so you can put it on your reading log. But they're too embarrassed to tell their teachers that their mother is a writer.
Well, I'm not embarrassed to say thank you for coming. I'm so
Thank
excited for you. It's a pleasure talking to you.
You too.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us today on The Writer's Dream. We hope we'll see you again next time. Thank you.